Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of In the Box here at Hirschbach. Brian Kohlwes here. Most of you probably know me, but for those that do not, I'm the corporate attorney, and I also oversee the entire risk side of the business. Safety, driver onboarding, the orientation side, our new driver training program, orientation, DOT compliance, the claims department, OS&D, all the fun stuff over here at Hirschbach. So I've been here right around 6 years. You're probably wondering, why is the corporate attorney talking to us today? Well, I don't want you to think of me as that. I want you to think of me as a trucker more than an attorney. I grew up in the business. My dad had a couple hundred trucks growing up. Still carry my CDL. I put myself through school doing that, and I want you to think of me as that and not as the corporate attorney. I want to bring you up to speed here on what's some of the changes that are happening here in safety and on the claims side and risk side here at Hirschbach. It's been a while since we've chatted. But before we do that, I want to reintroduce or introduce all of you to Joe Karberg. Many of you know Joe. He's been here for several years. Joe recently got a promotion to become the director of safety, and we've made a couple personnel changes in safety. I wanted to talk a little bit more about that. But Joe, first of all, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us how long you've been here and what you were doing before that and what you're doing here now.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, BK. So yeah, a lot of you guys already know me or have heard from me in the past. Joe Karberg. I started with Hirschbach back in 2017, around January 2017, in the safety department as the dedicated safety coach. Dedicated was a little bit smaller back then, so it only took one coach to cover that whole area. So did that for a couple of years. About 2 years in, jumped up to managing the dedicated safety team. And then about a year ago, June of last year, moved over to manage the over-the-road safety team. And then, as time has gone on, just a couple of shifts and stuff, recently bumped up to director of safety. Prior to Hirschbach, I kind of got my start in the trucking industry on the insurance side. So I worked for a company here in Dubuque called Cottingham & Butler that does primarily transportation insurance. So I helped write and manage insurance policies for small to medium-sized trucking companies, anything from like 10 trucks to about 100 trucks. I think the biggest account I ever had was like 96 trucks or something like that. So that's where I got kind of started in the risk and trucking world, and then happened to notice there's a pretty sizable trucking company right here in Dubuque. So I was like, yeah, we'll go see what that's about. So happy you made the switch, definitely. But
yeah, very good, very good. Well, we're happy to have you. Congratulations on your promotion. And
thank you.
A couple other personnel changes we're making here on the safety side. Many of you know Rob Oddie. Rob joined us, it's been right at a year ago now, and came to us from a company that has best-in-class CSA scores, best-in-class loss runs, best-in-class accident rates. And since then, we've made a lot of changes internally, which many of you have probably seen and have heard about, and we're driving things in the right direction. I'll talk a little bit about where we were at a year ago here in a second, and how far we've come. We feel like we've come a long ways. We still have a long ways to go, but we're definitely headed in the right direction. As Brad Pinchuk mentioned to the safety team several months ago, we finally got the flywheel stopped in a bad direction and turning it in the other direction, and that's a very, very hard thing to do when you're talking about an organization the size of Hirschbach. So Rob is changing roles into a role that we've needed here at Hirschbach for quite some time, and that's on the safety development side and safety training side. Before now, Joe reported to Rob, and Rob reported to me. Rob's now going to report to me on the training side, and Joe's going to report to me on the safety coaching side. And Rob's going to be developing content. One of the things I think we've needed, and one of the things I think we've been missing for quite some time, is ongoing training of our fleet. A lot of fleets ask their drivers to take monthly or quarterly training just to make sure that they're sharpening their saw and keeping their skills as tight as they can be, keeping in line with our culture, things like that. So you're going to see more of that in the future, more of that regular ongoing training, and Rob's going to be helping us develop the content for that. So when Rob joined us a year ago, I go back a year ago when I took safety back over. Remember, a year ago, safety reported up to operations, and Brad asked me to take it back over. And I think of all the things we've done in the last year, we've developed a protective driving program. And this isn't me doing this. This isn't Joe doing this. This is us as an organization, including our wonderful fleet operators out there, such as yourselves. This is something the organization has done. This is something that our operations personnel have been part of as well. We, as an organization, have created a phenomenal protective driving program, and most of you have been through it by now. For those of you that haven't, it's basically, it's our job as commercial motor vehicles and professional drivers out there to make sure that we protect others out there, not just protect ourselves. A lot of companies preach defensive driving. Well, defensive driving doesn't work when you're in an 80,000-pound rig, because you're always gonna win, right? So protective driving is making sure that you take care of those that travel around you. That's been developed here. We developed our Safe Six, our six things that we expect our drivers to do out there on the road. We've also developed our driver training program, and that's really heating up. We're going full steam here in Dubuque, and still stepping that up as we speak. And we're doing it the right way. There's two ways to do a driver training program: the right way and the wrong way. And we are putting considerable resources towards doing it the right way. In fact, the person that we've hired to do that, many of you have met him. His name is Brian Ham, and again, comes from a best-in-class safety program and ran a driver training program at that location. So feel very strongly we're doing it the right way. So just some personnel changes here in safety and on the claims and risk side here at Hirschbach. But as far as expectations go, there's no changes going on. The expectations are going to remain the same. Joe, why don't you remind our fleet out there on some of the expectations we have of our operators?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you haven't heard by now, you'll be hearing about it very soon, the protective driving course. Those of you who were already with us when we started to roll that out, you maybe have heard pieces of it, or you've had the opportunity to come back and witness it yourself. For those of you who haven't, we're working on getting that stuff out to everybody so everybody's on the same page. But yeah, the Safe Six is the things that you've probably heard a lot about. The expectations are not going to be changing. So the expectations for safe driving, making sure maintaining the speed limit, following the speed limit in all conditions, and then reducing your speed as needed as traffic conditions worsen, weather conditions worsen. Maintaining a good following distance. We ask everybody maintain a minimum of 7 seconds to make sure you have that space available if something in front of you were to happen. If you spot a hazard in front of you, making sure you're getting off the power, getting on the brakes, slowing down, making sure you have enough time and space to slow down when that happens. As things develop in front of you, looking out as far ahead as you can see, making sure you're spotting those hazards well in advance rather than focusing on the things directly in front of you. Focus on the future. Focus down as far down the road as you possibly can see. Mitigating all those risk factors, making sure you're not driving drowsy. If you feel those signs of drowsiness come on, finding somewhere safe to park and then communicating those things. Eliminating distractions. These are the things that our coaches spend tons of time and energy talking to our drivers about in terms of just reducing the risk. We don't want anybody out there, our drivers or the people they share the road with, at harm. So that's why we talk about protective driving in a way that protects the motorists you share the road with, as well as protecting yourself. As BK mentioned, defensive driving. In the event of a big crash, when you're driving the biggest, heaviest object on the road, you're the least likely person to sustain an injury. Not that you never will, but you're the least likely person to get hurt or not be able to walk away from that crash. So driving defensively when you're the least likely person to be injured is kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just where that protective driving concept comes from. So driving in a way that protects yourself as well as protects all the people around you. So those expectations will all be very much the same.
Very good, very good. We have a very high standard here at Hirschbach, and we only hire the best operators out there on the roadway, the professionals like yourselves. So congratulations for being here and remaining here. We all want you to make lots of money, and we want you to be safe along the way. And I can tell you the accidents we do see out there on the roadway, from a driver's perspective, they happen so quickly. Mm-hmm. In a matter of seconds, your life and the lives of those that travel around you can change. And we talk about following distance, and the 7-second following distance we have here at Hirschbach. Trust me, when that moment of truth is in front of you, you're going to be glad you had all of those 7 seconds, because you're going to need them. That's how quickly some of these accidents happen, and things in front of you can change. We all witness it out there every day, out there on the roadway, I'm sure. But just remind all of you that space and speed management is your biggest asset in the event that something goes wrong out in front of you. And everybody's always worried about, well, what about the people behind me? Well, we worry about those folks, but they need to worry about themselves as well, the ones out there behind you. So worry less about that and make sure you worry about what's going on in front of you and around on the sides of your truck. That's our the way we drive here at Hirschbach. So one other thing I want to leave you with, it's very hot out there right now, and we're trying to help manage our temperatures on our trailers. As you all know, we haul refrigerated products, and this time of year, it's not very forgiving when a refrigeration unit on a trailer goes down. You don't have much time to react because of the heat out there. Quick example, this week we had a condenser break on a refrigerated trailer, and within 4 hours, the entire compressor was replaced and back on the roadway. We still ended up buying a load of produce because in 4 hours, it was in an area where it was 111 degrees out. The produce unfortunately ripened so fast that there's just nothing you can do about it. We did everything right. Our maintenance team did everything right. The driver did everything right. Just an unfortunate event that's in our industry. But I'll just remind all of you that watch your temperatures, pay attention to the lights on your refrigeration unit. Make sure the temperatures are correct with your bill of lading. Check it at every location, and make sure you call in after every load, and make sure you communicate with dispatch on what the temperature is supposed to be set at, and make sure your reefer is running correctly. So in the wintertime, you got a little bit more time to react because of the ambient temperatures out there, but in the summertime, it's not nearly as it's way less forgiving, that's for sure. So anything else, Joe? What should we leave them with?
I don't know. I didn't think of like a sign-off line.
Yeah, you got nothing?
Nothing.
All right, come on. You're the color person.
I mean, yeah,
over here.
it's
You're the color commentator
yeah.
over here.
I mean, kind of going back to what one of the things we were talking about with some of the new rules, the new training and development stuff is something I'm actually really excited for. That's something we've always needed. Those kind of reoccurring trainings that happen either monthly or quarterly. It's not just an opportunity to get extra training out for all of our drivers, but it's also a good opportunity for, as things change, expectations or, updates with, company stuff coming specifically from the safety group. It's a good opportunity to get more of that stuff out to everybody so that everybody's on the same page and we're able to be more dynamic with how we make those adjustments on the fly sometimes. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it's other than that, I'm excited for the opportunity this affords me and Hirschbach overall. And yeah, I mean, again, appreciate everything everybody does out there. Can't say enough of that. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So, driving away, that's going to protect those people out there, protect yourselves, and then, be safe.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure some of you are sitting here thinking, ongoing training, and you might be rolling your eyes. I can tell you, I'll just remind all of you, you're professional operators out there, and you think of a professional athlete. They are consistently and constantly trying to improve their game out there, whether it be by watching game film or hiring a coach or getting some specific training on something. You think of Tiger Woods, or Tiger's probably not a very good example because he's not playing golf anymore. But Tiger Woods, when he was in his prime, was consistently watching film of himself and watching hiring professionals to help him improve his golf swing out there, and hiring weight trainers to make himself stronger. Same thing with you folks. We want you to learn. You should always be learning. You should always be identifying some bad habits you might have out there and improving them. And I'll be the first one to admit there's times I don't drive as if I should. We all make those mistakes out there, but you have to consistently remind yourself and recommit yourself to being a safe operator out there. And just what happened in the past has happened in the past, but you can always make yourself better, and you can always recommit yourself to some bad habits you might have developed over time. So with that, we'll let you get back to your day. We appreciate all that you do out there. Be safe, do safe, make sure you live our Safe 6 values out there, and remember that you hold the lives of others between your hands as you're out there operating our trucks. So appreciate all you do, and have a good weekend and a safe holiday. Or safe